Oh
no! You said
after one.
Okay,
You said on one.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
This is what happened the last time.
Hey, we got it right the first time.
Okay. Let's
It
go.
was all okay.
Let's go. Again.
After one.
After one. Okay. No. Okay.
3, 2, 1. Welcome everybody to the second episode of the TAMUSA Esports Podcast. I'm your host Tim, and today our episode is gonna be a little different from the last one. We have a special group. We're gonna start introducing the different team members to our team. So we're gonna start with Smash. I'll let everybody introduce themselves, but before that, we gotta shout out some events. We actually have our first Spring Invitational event. It's gonna be this Sunday, February 13th. You can register through Challenge. We'll leave a link in the description for you guys if you want to come out and test your skills. Also, our head content manager, Joey's first Minecraft stream is going to be Friday, February 18th. And so if y'all want to come tune in for that, support him, that'd be awesome. But without further ado, let's get into it. Whoever wants to go first.
My name is Sebastian. I'm a senior. I'm majoring in criminology with a minor in business administration, and I'm in Palzer. No secondary.
My name is Benjamin. I'm a senior. I'm currently majoring in psychology, and I have plans to try to attend graduate school for mental health counseling. And I'm a NES, and I'm looking into picking up secondaries.
my name's Chris. I am a junior. I'm history major, and I am Falco. No, I'm just playing. I mean Falco.
I don't mean anyone. I'm terrible at Smash, I'm gonna be honest. I guess my first question for you guys is, how did you really get into gaming, or what made you choose Smash as like your primary game? Did you grow up playing it? Was it just something that kind of happened?
Well, for me, I had Melee on the GameCube, but I was like a little kid, so I was never really that competitive into it. Back in 2019, that's when I got introduced into Smash. So I believe Smash came out in 2018, and in 2019 my friend went to locals, and he was pretty good at it. So when I went with him just to support him, watch him, I got hooked onto it because it kind of reminded me of like just competing again. So I picked up the game, and I'm okay at fighting games, like above average, a little bit above average, and whatever FGC I play, and that's pretty much it. That's how I got into Smash.
I always wanted like Melee, even though I was like too young to understand that like I wanted it. I think I just remember seeing like ads for it, and I was like, this looks so cool. But I also never had a GameCube, but it was just like this like fantasy I always had as a kid. It's like if I ever got the chance to play this game, I would enjoy it. But kind of how I got into Smash was like, honestly, it was just like hanging out in like a friend's house, and he had Smash for the Wii U, and we would just play like 8-player Smash, like pretty much like what you imagine is like the most casual way to play the game. And it was so fun to me. I think probably because of like all of our friends were playing and how like chaotic it was, that I started to just like on my own look up like how to play like Luigi. Luigi is actually the first character I ever like tried to learn. And from there I kind of just like, it was rewarding to like learn more about the character, and it like kept me wanting to like learn more about the game. So I bought Smash for the 3DS. I bought a 3DS like from a pawn shop, and I bought Smash just so I could play it like on my own. Mm-hmm. And from there I just like played for a really long time by myself, and then I went to tournaments to like see if I was actually any good, and then it just kind of like spiraled from there. I was just like, I wanted to get better, because I remember like going like Ep.2 the first time I ever played, and I was like, dang, I feel like I could do this.
I started playing like when I was a kid. I played the Nintendo 64, so I played Smash 64. But I just played with my family, like my cousins. I was a kid, so I'll go over to my cousin's house, and we stay up all night just playing Smash, and it was just like for fun. Like it didn't have a main or anything. We just chose random people. We didn't even have the full cast unlocked. Like we were just playing, and then after that was it. Like it was just dumb. Like up until 2019. So like it was probably like from early 2000s all the way up to like I started playing Ultimate in 2019, and I bought it because I think I don't know. Like I wanted to feel. I'm into like nostalgic things. So like I was
Yeah.
like, oh, like Smash. Like I want to go back and see if I can feel something. And then so I bought it for my Switch, and I didn't really pay much attention to it. Like it was just like, oh, like I got bored or whatever. And then um, I was in Washington at the time, and then I came back to Texas, and I started playing with my friends, and it was much more fun. Like with playing with like my friends, like because I would just play by myself. Um, and then we noticed like we would just do like hype stuff, like get cool spikes or like just like really hype things, and we would try not to play with items or anything, and like eventually like we wanted to like start like getting competitive with it, and we looked up how to play our characters and how to play the game and like what to do, and then now it's just like I just got like real competitive with it. Like we've been to locals and I've seen both of these guys at locals. Like it was just a cool thing.
I think something that's interesting about Smash is that, like for me growing up, I never really played it. I think I played it maybe 2 or 3 times before I even came to Musa. So, and the 2 times that I did, like I didn't even know I think I was just button mashing. Like it was just fighting games for me weren't ever something that's super interesting. But now, like we had our fall invitational, and I came to I think almost every single qualifier, and then the invitational itself. Watching y'all actually like play, like watching players that know what they're doing play Smash at like a high level is actually it's like so entertaining. Even if you don't know what's going on, like it's like holy crap, like that guy just got like spiked off the stage or whatever the heck just happened. Like it's actually ridiculous. So I'm kind of excited. I have been telling myself that I was gonna practice so I could come try to do something in the open, but I don't think it's gonna happen. I'm horrendously bad at this game.
Honestly, like for practicing, it really is just like
A chore.
it can be as much as you want to make out of it, but also there's a way to probably practice where you're getting better like in increments versus like just like improving like drastically.
Yeah.
It's like you can just practice like moving your character, or you can just practice like a combo, or if you can just like practice recovering, like all those things like they kind of build upon themselves, and then from there I think it kind of gets, if you're actually trying to improve into like more fighting game theory stuff like neutral and like positioning, and that's like if you're actually trying to just like compete. But like if you're just trying to play the game just to like beat people, I think like it's probably a lot easier than like you'd think. But,
Interesting.
yeah.
I may have to consult you on some coaching.
Honestly, I could just set you up with some videos.
Dude,
YouTube
yeah,
is
no,
like a phenomenal
I
resource.
actually would greatly appreciate
Yeah.
that, because you have no idea how bad I am. I guess the next question is, we kind of touched on how y'all got into like Smash specifically, but like gaming in general, like was Smash something you always played, or did somebody introduce you to just like playing video games as you were like when you were a kid, or?
Honestly, trying to remember. I look like I'm like confused, but I'm just trying to think of like when the first time I ever played video games was, and I think it was probably like someone else's house, like in my
Yes.
neighborhood.
I have like a very fond memory. Like I know exactly the first game I ever played, like exactly where it was. It's like engraved into my mind.
Well, I'm pretty sure like basic. I feel like basic for almost everybody is like older brother or whatever. You're not like for me. It wasn't that, because I'm the oldest. It's like I had an uncle. I have uncles, so like they had the PlayStation 1 at their place, and I would go play Tony Hawk Pro Skater over there. That's literally like one of my favorite games ever because of the soundtrack it has, how basic it was, and it's not competitive at all. It's super casual. Like you just do a bunch of tricks, get the high score, play skate if you want. All what you would want in a video game, just like just have fun with it. That's how I really got into it, and then I think it just went on from there, honestly.
That's the same with me. Like my brother's 10 years older than me, so of course like he was like casually into gaming, like barely casual. Like he was prefer to be outside or whatever. But we just had a console, and we had a Nintendo 64 and a PS2, and I don't know. Like I didn't even know like how to like beat games. Like I would just play. Like I remember my very first like favorite game that I remember is Star Fox 64, and I couldn't get past like the second level. I was just having so much fun playing the first and second level over and over again, just as a kid. Because like back then, it's just like that's all you need, just like just that little amount of like fun. But I was like maybe like 6 or 7 or 8, like between them, like, and I would just use my brother's stuff, and I'm pretty sure he didn't even like it was his stuff, but I used it more, and eventually it just became mine because I used it so much. And I think on the PS2, I was playing like Tony Hawk, and I was playing like Dragon Ball Z games were like my favorite, like just the Budokai 3, Budokai Tenkaichi. Those are like my favorite games to play, just because I liked Dragon Ball Z at the time.
Yeah, I always remember I'd go over to my friend David's house, and he had 2 older brothers, and they had the original Xbox, the Xbox 360, the PS2. They had like everything. And at my house, I didn't really get my first gaming console was a GameCube, and I didn't get that till I was like 7 or 8. So I'd always go over to his house, and we'd play Star Wars Battlefront on the PS2 for hours. That was my like game, and at the time I was obsessed with Star Wars, so I guess it kind of just went hand in hand. But
I think those are better than the new ones. Honestly.
Yeah, no, like it's so like playing the new one. It's fun, but like there's too much stuff in it. Like I'm not a huge fan of it. The old one, you literally had you played as a stormtrooper with one rifle or like a droid with one gun, and then you got to play as like a Jedi or one of the special characters, and that was it.
Yeah, because there wasn't a lot of customization.
Yeah, now they have you can customize your own character. You can make your own class. There's different classes you can play as, and then on top of that, the combat system for the special characters is just weird. So
Sounds like kind of convoluted.
It is.
You speak about just shooting and
That's why I was like, it's too much now. It's too much.
Yeah.
Well, speaking about Star Wars and first games, that was my other favorite game too, for the Nintendo 64. There was this I don't even remember what it was called. It was the Star Wars game, but I remember you could fly on the spaceship in Hoth. And you could just wrap around AT-ATs and just trip them and stuff. It was the most funnest thing ever. I love that game too. When I played it as a kid.
That honestly kind of reminds me of a Star Wars game I used to play. I don't know if I played it on the PS2 or the 64, but I think my first experience with video games, I think this is my first experience. It's a little embarrassing because honestly, at the end of the time I was playing, I literally was just my eyes were glued to the TV. I don't think I remember blinking. I wasn't maintaining anything about me. I was at a neighbor's house, so I probably can't even name anymore because it was my sister's friend. But I was playing Diddy Kong Racing, and I loved it. I thought it was so cool, and I literally was just trying to play, and they had to ask me to leave, and my eyes were watering. It looked like I was crying. My eyes were red. I'm pretty sure I was there was snot trickling down my face. That's how much I was just focused on playing the game. It was so cool to me at the time. And then honestly, from there, I think I eventually got a 64, and then I also got Diddy Kong Racing. I had Star Fox 64. I had
GoldenEye.
I did not have GoldenEye.
You didn't have GoldenEye?
GoldenEye
I don't
was
even
fun. That was a good game.
The thing is, I don't even remember ever being I want to get this game. I think it was just someone must have knew news, either my mom or my dad or someone it's I think he likes these, so they were just went out and got some games. Because I never remember asking for any of the games for the 64. I think it's just one day there was a 64 at my dad's house, and I just had a few games to play. I always wish I kept it though, but Smash was not one of those games. I kind of wish it was, but yeah, that's my first experience with video games.
Yeah. I guess kind of transitioning from more traditional, we kind of touched on playing the original games that we played as a kid. As you got older, when did y'all first hear about esports? I know for me it was 2012, 2013, Black Ops 2, watching Optic and FaZe and Call of Duty. But for you guys, when was y'all's first time oh, this is competitive video games? This is a thing?
I guess I always kind of knew it. Like it was there in the background. Like I know, like my friends would watch people or whatever. Like I guess never paid attention to it. Like really, like in my lifetime until like the last couple of years, maybe like 2017 to like now. Cause I knew it was a thing, but it was just something I never like I'm not gonna ever like be competitive. So like why do I need to like think about that? Like
Yeah.
but eventually, I mean, I did get competitive. But like, I guess I always knew that people played Halo like competitively or whatever. I even remember like going to I was in Las Vegas and I went to the sports arena over there,
Mhm.
and I was just like, wow, like people like they made this entire like sports arena just for like gaming, just for competitive gamers. Like people really like put effort into this, like not even like not only the building, but people put effort into their video games competitively, like that they had to make an arena for it. Like it was just blew my mind. I was like 19 or 20 or whatever, um, and so yeah, I guess I never like really paid attention to it until now. I guess.
For me, I kind of like Chris said, like it's always been like in the background, honestly. Because I grew up playing fighting games, so like Tekken was my main game, honestly. At a certain point in my life, it was just like Tekken Tag Tournament 2, honestly. And I don't remember like seeing any tournaments, but I knew that it was competitive enough to have tournaments back then. And playing with my uncles, it was just really like we all got competitive. So I think that's where I knew esports was a thing, but the more like sought after one was like Call of Duty for me, honestly. Black Ops 2, playing League Play. I eventually tried to get on teams for MOG. So that's like for me like that's where I was like going like
That-
competitive like
Yeah,
crazy.
that's where like
So,
all my memories.
so I
come
was
from.
like Black Ops 2. I got my PlayStation for Ghost. I was I was into it.
Yep.
I so much into it like like stuff starts to happen like like Grace slipping whatever not. But I mean. Now it's just like, well, we have this opportunity, to come here for this opportunity, and why not take it? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, Black Ops, Tekken was my thing.
I kind of just want to add one of the first experiences with games too was like Tekken Tag Tournament, like going to my uncle's house, and like I didn't really know him that well, but I think he thought since I was younger that I would just like video games, and Tekken was actually probably my first experience with like fighting games. But as far as like my experience with like competitiveness, like I actually wanted to enter like a video game tournament because of where my sister worked. So I have two older sisters. One of them was working as a manager of the electronics department at the HEB on Petrenko. So
They had
that,
electronics.
So, like,
yeah, they used to have
used to,
electronics
yeah.
department.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
like
Like,
HEB was
I
like
didn't
trying to
know
get
that.
into that like
Remember-
field for a second.
Remember when the PlayStation 3 came out?
Yeah.
I think that's when that HEB opened up, and then that's when they had the electronics department, and everybody would go over there just to get the 80 gig special edition one
Oh,
because it was backwards compatible with PS2 games.
I don't remember that. At
I'm sorry,
all.
I'm like a nerd about
I
that.
had no idea about that.
No, it's like the most sought after PlayStation.
I was gonna say, so I guess someone who was running the department wanted to hold like video game tournaments. I don't even think it was like something that all the HEBs did. It was just like that department wanted to do it just to like build a community or something. And one of the first tournaments they ever had was like Guitar Hero 2. And my sister was telling me about it, and like I had a PS2, but I didn't even have Guitar Hero like before the tournament. But I just stayed up for like a day or two, just like playing it so I could play in the tournament. I literally like, I think I slept maybe like a few hours like before the tournament, and I went and played, and like that kind of like started a lot of things for me. But like that was my first experience with like competitive games, and then there was like a platform like Naruto fighting game that they also like ran a tournament for, and I kind of did the same thing. Like I owned it for longer before then, but like I think this probably was like right before middle school for me. So like 2007, maybe like the year 2007, 2008. And then from there, like sometime in high school, I got into League of Legends with some friends.
Oh no.
Yeah. I heard about like the price support for like games and stuff, like or like for the competitive leagues for like League of Legends, and it kind of like blew my mind. And then from there, I had friends who were like into Dota, and then I watched like the internationals with them, and like seeing like the production value that went into the internationals
It's
and
nuts.
like the amount of like strategy that my friends were talking about. Because I was a League guy, so I didn't know like really how Dota worked compared to League. But like hearing like how like hype and like how excited like all my friends were for like the teams that were playing in like the international made me realize that there's probably more to just playing games than just like doing it for fun.
Yeah.
So
I know, like, for me, I played, like, competitive COD. Seabass talked about league play. I know that was, like, I always saw it, like, in the menu whenever you're going to select, like, multiplayer or whatever. And I think one day one of my buddies was like, oh, do you want to try league play? And I was like, I've always seen it, but I don't know what the heck it is. So it kind of introduced me to that. And then I remember loading into the game, and there were all these, like, wannabe FaZe kids and Optic kids that put the Optic and FaZe into their name. And I was like, who the heck is Optic and FaZe? Like, who are these people? And everyone in there, like, thought I was so stupid for not knowing who they were. And I remember going in, like, online after, like, maybe 5 or 6 games, like, okay, I have to know who these people are. And I think I instantly got glued and just hooked on esports because I was like, dang, this isn't just, like, a game. Like, this is people's, like, careers. Like, they're actually, like, they don't do anything else. They literally practice every single day playing video games. And, of course, like, to a 11 to 12-year-old kid, that sounds awesome. But, like, it was really eye-opening because I was like, wait, if I actually got good enough at this, I mean, Seabass kind of talked about it at school. I'm not a huge fan of school. I don't have to go to school. I don't have to go to school. I can just stay home and play video games all day.
the dream.
Yeah, the literal dream, right? So, I think it later became like as I grew out of like Call of Duty and Halo, I eventually saved up. I bought my first computer, and it was horrible. Like that thing could not run anything. It was a potato. But luckily, Counter-Strike exists, and you can run that thing on a toaster. So, I played that, and I remember trying to convince my parents. I was like, this is a thing. Like, esports, like, people play video games. There's a ton of money here. And they're like, we don't believe you. So I saved up again, and I took my dad to, it was like ESL, like Season 7, the finals in Dallas for Counter-Strike. And I remember we sat in line for the venue for like an hour before they opened, and there was about 200 or 300 people there just waiting. And the place seated like at least like 2,000. So it was completely sold out. We had like, I had spent like probably like too much money on the tickets to be like in the front row, like right next to the stage. And there's I'll have to go find it on my Twitter maybe, but there's like a Team Liquid, which was, I mean, NA North America, like in the past has not done very well, but it was a North American event. So I remember there was this whole, like, the crowd was like chanting USA whenever Team Liquid was walking on the stage. It was crazy. And my dad just sitting there was just like, what the hell is going on? Like, he didn't understand a single thing. But after that, it was kind of like, oh, this is a thing. He wasn't joking. But I just think it's kind of funny.
That's awesome. I feel like I've heard like a few stories of like parents like trying to like learn more about the game, but particularly in Smash. Like that's kind of like,
Yeah.
that's something that like we kind of have stories about like in Texas, because there's a kid who he goes to tournaments, but he's like in middle school, like high school. He's been playing the game like for a really long time, but his mom goes to like every tournament that he goes to,
Mm-hmm.
and like she's made herself like a part of the community. So like she,
Oh, that's sick.
yeah, his tag is Toast.
Shout out Toast.
Yeah, Toast is so good. Toast is. I feel bad because I don't know exactly what grade I think he might be in high school right now.
High school.
But like he's like an honorable mention for like PR in the city.
Oh,
And
wow.
our city is like pretty competitive, I would say, compared to like some others like across the country. Maybe not within like the region of Texas, but like that still says like a lot. And then there's another kid too who's probably like on the horizons for like best player in like not best player in the world, but like he's on the horizons for like the world rankings. His name's Shattuck.
Oh, and his dad too. His dad's tag on Twitter is Daddick.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah, you can find him on Twitter, but like he takes his son to tournaments like across the country.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah.
actually, and for a little while he was trying to get him sponsored, and he just got sponsored.
That's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah, but like that kid has been like making a bunch of huge upsets like on people like across like the country or just like in Texas for sure. He's ranked like he's on the PR for the state of Texas now, and like Texas has about like almost 25% of like the top players in like North America.
Oh shoot.
Yeah,
Let's go. I'm
Yeah.
not.
but it's like when you put that into perspective, like that's on top of like being able to beat like every casual player, and then like some people who are just new to the game.
Yeah.
But like he's like competing with like the best of the best.
That's literally
That's
is.
actually so sick.
Yeah.
I think this is probably a good way to segue into it. Because we kind of talked about how, how like some parents, understandably, and it makes total sense that they would not want their child, playing video games for 8 to 12 hours a day, right? And going to school and getting an education. If you're watching this, stay in school, do well in school. Don't, throw it away for video games unless you're already getting paid and sponsors like this Toast and Shattuck. Like that's insane.
Do both. Do both. Be good and be good.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you do good in both, but school first.
What was it?
But I think it's kind of a good way to segue into it. Like traditional sports, I know I've watched. I can't remember the guy's name. The Colin Coward or something. It's a guy on ESPN. He has his own show or podcast, and there's a couple of clips that he's more famous for in terms of the world of esports, where he just does not believe it's a thing. It should be respected. It should not be like as big as it actually is. And so, a common argument in how I believe is like, for compared to more traditional sports like football, baseball, basketball, which I don't know if y'all grew up playing sports, but you put in the same amount of time. It's maybe not as much physical, like intense physical, training, but there's still like a skill that kind of has to be respected. Like not everyone can just pull up and be as good as even you guys, really. So
You definitely you have to allot time to build on your skill, and it's like you're teaching yourself a lot of the times because there's no one book that says that you can study that says
yeah,
this is how you play Smash. It's you have to go and watch people. You have to learn from the community. You gotta schedule time into your own data to practice and get better at your skill. And it's teaching yourself, and it's all it's not just going home and playing games and having fun. It's you do have fun, but it's just definitely you're honing your skill, and that takes a lot of time out of your week.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a thing.
Not as easy as it looks for sure.
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to say, man.
I think because games are this commercial thing, and because of that they're made to seem so easily accessible that anyone can just pick up a game and be good at it. I think for the most part games provide instruction. They want to incentivize you to play and complete them, and that's regardless of whether the game's competitive or not. So people are going to be able to play games, but versus having to play against someone who is actively trying to beat you in the game, that's kind of, I think, at the heart of what makes sports. And I think since there's not much difference, it's just a difference in environment and a difference in how you're achieving that. I would argue that I don't think there's that much difference between esports and sports, but I kind of approach it in a definitional sense. I definitely think if you look at how how different the environments are and what it takes to have the skills necessary to one versus the other, maybe you can make a bit of an argument. But I've definitely thought about this a lot because after getting into Smash competitively and just seeing how much people are starting to value esports, and then just hearing the arguments after like it's not really like worth putting the time into. But like besides people like making their livelihoods off of it, like it's just like a huge form of entertainment.
Exactly.
Because everyone else they have like their personal stake in the game, just like how like people like have their personal stakes in like their favorite team. It's like this is their city, like this is like that's their favorite player. You can do the same things for like esports too. It's like this is like the country where like my team is from. Like hey, yeah, I knew that guy. Or, yeah, this like that's the region where I'm from. Like these are all the players like I like. Like example for me is like yesterday some people from San Antonio traveled to go play in Austin at like a tournament. And it wasn't really like that big of a deal, but like I cheered for them because those are people that I know and like they're from my city. Like I want my city to do well because like that's my city.
Exactly.
And like there's so many things that are just like similar to like sports in that regard, just like how you enjoy it, like how you can like engage in it, and just like the activity itself. Like there's not that much difference when you really look at it.
Yeah, most definitely. You can also say like your matches like for basketball or soccer. Like soccer, like they probably have like 1 or 2 games a week maybe. It's just because it's really intensive. Basketball, they have like multiple games within the league. I mean, for esports in itself, we probably I've noticed like have 1 to 2 games a week. Honestly, it just depends. For us at the collegiate level or even high school level, whatever league you're in. So like just preparing yourself for those games can be tough because there's outside factors. Like in other traditional sports too, so I think it's just mentally preparing yourself as well as like gaining the confidence in order to play those games because they are pretty intensive. Whenever we go locals, like everybody's going to compete at their best, Yeah. Like some people treat locals as practice, others treat it to see where they can place against like the PR in San Antonio and. Sometimes the PR San Antonio usually does get top 8. Sometimes there will be like some upsets. It just depends, honestly. And you just gotta go out there and see what you can do, honestly. When you do like either traditional sports or esports. Like I know when I was like in high school, I tried to do like soccer and Call of Duty at the same time. It was pretty tough.
Yeah, it's really tough.
I had to do high school high school soccer, and then like club soccer after, and then I probably get on for like 2 hours at most if I can. Honestly, just depends on my off days. But it's tough because like it's intensive and you have to take out like your school factors or any other thing that comes your way in life. So I think it's still there like intensive like how it is competitively honestly, and to those people who say like there's like no physical like involvement in it. I mean the way you perform is like you gotta work out too. You gotta increase everything, better yourself honestly, look healthy. So. It's just, I feel like it's on the same spectrum as traditional sports. I mean, they might not happen as often because like you go to majors like for Smash or any other esport,
Yeah.
But the hype is there for a reason. They have league matches for a reason.
I would just say shout out to TAMUSA for getting us to go to Low Tide City last year.
So that was
Can we go this year?
that was actually something I was going to talk about next was like any experiences y'all had in the program.
That for sure would be like something worth mentioning, but like I feel like everyone would want to talk about it. So I guess I'd want to just like bring up just like my experience with like the league last year, like when we were actually like in season. And honestly, some of those games really felt like there was more pressure in a sense than like other times I played the game, because like I played the game a lot before like I got into like TAMUSA like esports, but like it really felt like I was like trying to represent something more than just like me. Because when I go to play, sometimes in my mind I'm just like I just want to do something really cool so like people like notice me. But in this, it really felt like I had to like in the league. I felt like I had to be more considerate of like not just like trying to be cool and just like not caring. It felt like I had to like kind of push myself in a way to just play like the way I didn't want to play, or it was kind of like selfish, but just like playing on a team. So I think that was important, but I'm sure someone else is going to talk about Low Tide City, so I'm gonna leave that for someone else.
I missed the question. I'm sorry.
So what were some like notable experiences you've had like while being on the team or like being inside of the program?
Definitely Low Tide. I think we went to some like job thing that one time for like this new like arena in San Antonio.
Oh, Samsat?
Samsat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was cool. That was like when like the mirror spoke, right, or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. I mean, that was cool.
Port to say, yeah.
Yeah, Portishead. I mean, the small things are notable too. Like just being able to like come to practice and bounce ideas off each other and learn. That's something that I mean a lot of people don't get. That especially like from like really good players too. So like it's good to that they know what you're doing wrong, and then it's like finally like coming clear to you.
Yeah. Honestly, like having like players who also are interested in like improving, like definitely makes for like more effective practice too.
Yeah.
So like just feeling like when I come to like practice or like I'm participating that like my time is better spent like actually trying to play with these people here versus like playing at like most other like environments. Like you can play friendlies with people, but like if they don't take the game seriously, then it's like
It's kind of frustrating.
it's not that it's frustrating, but you can't like use it for effective practice. And this
Yeah.
is kind of like in a very like not pessimistic, but I feel like limited mindset because I don't think the game should just be solely that. Like,
Yeah,
you
like
should be
just-
able to enjoy it.
Yeah, you don't
besides-
want to just be competitive and
Yeah.
so serious that it's not fun anymore.
Yeah, like I find that very alienating, but yeah, like being able to just like be in an environment where it feels like people respect my time and like want to see me get better and like I can help them get better.
I think that's something that's I've definitely have fallen victim to in any of the games I played in Valorant. I hate being the worst in my friend group at any game. So, like, I remember back, you kind of touched on being a League kid. Unfortunately, for 2 years, I was addicted to League of Legends. And my friends actually got me introduced to it, and they used to trash talk me so much. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. So for like 3 months, I rarely joined the Discord, and I grinded League of Legends. Like, as soon as I had like stopped playing baseball in high school because it just wasn't very fun anymore. And so I came home after work and would just play League. Like, get my homework done, play League, and then go to bed, repeat the process every single day. And there was a point, and I don't really remember specifically, but it was like a switch where I wasn't having fun winning, but I was only getting frustrated losing because it was like, oh, I know how I'm supposed to play this game. It's like I'm supposed to win. I'm supposed to do this. I have to be perfect, and I was taking it too seriously to the point where it sucked all the fun out of all the joy out of the game. Of course, the community. Shout out to League of Legends. Y'all are jerks. Like it's just not. It's not. They don't help. Like your mental.
Super Valorant, right?
Dude, they just come out. Your CS. Dude. There's really one game where I had perfect CS. Where if you don't know what that is, it's basically just like the rate at which you kill these like little minions that give you gold. I had perfect CS for like the first 14 minutes, and then we did nothing but team fighting for 5 minutes. So I wasn't farming as much, and my team was just going in on me. They're like, your CS is so bad. Even though I had the most in the game, they were all just mad because they got trashed on in their lane.
Honestly, I think it's super easy for people to just be in alt chat and like not really think about someone else's behind like,
Right?
their screen and just like it's because it's like kind of anonymous. They can just like flame someone just to like get a reaction out of them. Like at that point, I think now that there's like a culture of like just flaming people too, like people just do it just to get a rise.
It's so annoying. Like, man, we'll be in. See, that's not
Last
played
night,
Valorant
I
games.
got
Our
tilted.
teammates will literally just say the most obscure, like toxic things for no reason,
Just don't talk
and we'll
at
be
all.
winning.
Yeah.
It's like, why are you saying that? You're bringing the mood down. We're all vibing, having a good time. I mean, I don't know how much it takes place in Smash. I feel like with fighting games, I feel like in person it could get pretty heated, but
Fighting games
So-
are they have a good good opportunity to bring out the worst in people, kind of. Mostly if you're playing like in person. If you there's like historical matches between like just FGCs, but I know in Smash there's a few like where people just kind of build up rivalries, and like honestly, if I get bored, I'll just look up like compilations of like people getting like mad because I think it's kind of funny. But yeah, like fighting games, I think because it's like a 1v1 thing, and you see the person right there, and you can kind of just like you almost get a sense of like their personality in a way, and like there's things that the community has deemed as like disrespectful to do in a sense that like you're kind of like you're outplaying them in the game so well that it's like almost embarrassing for them.
Yeah.
So at that point it's perceived as like disrespect, and having that disrespect like added to you, like it kind of makes you feel bad as like a player, or that's kind of like the point of it, is to like kind of almost like humiliate you in a sense, not in like a drastic way. Like no one's gonna like be mad at you like after the game, but more or less like
To affect
It's like,
you.
man, you just got absolutely dumpstered.
It's like a note, honestly. Like
Yeah.
some people don't like Bowser's side. I'm like, it's in the game for a reason, so
Might as well use it.
just gotta deal with that at that point. Like Ben said, when he brought up personality, fighting games, they're personal. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I feel like I take it personal, like in a business way rather than like like a person to person type way.
Yeah.
Like I don't care who I play against. Like I'll play just to play and do my best as I can. Like we went to Royal Raw together. I went against Burr. I didn't know who Burr was.
so I probably follow like different
Shout out to
scenes,
Burr.
like probably a lot, because I always try to figure out who's like on the radar or like who to like watch out for. But Burr is like PR in Dallas Fort Worth.
And
Dallas Fort
Texas.
Worth. Yeah, and they're PR in Texas.
He's 10th in Texas.
Oh.
So like Dallas Fort Worth in Texas is the strongest like region,
Mhm.
or like the strongest city like in our region. So like being competitive on that level, and like their scene has like a lot of tournaments, like a league, and then they also have colleges within the Dallas Fort Worth area that have like competitive esports teams that either comprised of like their PR or like high level players, and they consistently do really well in the season, like for Smash. So like their city as a whole has a lot of experience.
Yeah.
Well, I know Seabass was talking about y'all's first match was against
UTD.
and you're saying they're like 3-time champs, back to back to back.
Yeah, we almost. I mean, it was close. I mean, I think we got them down to 4 stocks out of 12. So
I didn't play.
I think we got them down to 4 stocks out of 12. Right?
Like we took 4, we got them.
We got them down to 4, or was it their last guy we went against? I think we got them down to their last guy. I think, right? Or maybe
I think
just...
I'm getting confused for UT. I think I got confused for the last week.
So we played with UTD first match, and we played UTA, UT Austin, but they're Team A. They're both comprised of Dallas Fort Worth and Austin PR, so
They're pretty good.
it's insane. Like
Yeah.
it's not like, and you're playing online, and there's no excuse for playing online. Honestly, it's just it is what it is. But if you can play online, you can play in offline too for sure. It's just rough, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna happen. I mean, I was surprised like that we got close with the UTD one, honestly. So I'm not upset about that one. The
Actually-
UTA one was kind of intense because they I think they brought out like their best player first, and they brought their second best player. I'm like, okay, like that's just like it's not BM, but or bad manners. It's just like
That's
okay.
just like what
They're
they
just
can do.
yeah.
They don't have to like use someone as like an anchor to like get through. Like,
They're just trying to get through you as fast as
Mhm.
possible
I
with their
think-
best players.
LSOE is, I don't know if that's how their tag is
Yeah.
pronounced, but they're also PR in Austin, and Ruski Nerd is like
Ruski
PR,
Nerd.
and they're a Nest main.
I
It's
got
crazy
them.
like how like kind of scattered like through regions you'll find like really powerful players, like, and they only play at like a certain level.
Yeah.
But they're like an innovator of like
Yeah.
the character. Like they've like developed the meta.
I think that's kind of interesting because, like, it's kind of hard going back to, like, other games, but, like, kind of with Valorant or League of Legends, finding people that play the same character you play, the agent or the same legend character that y'all play, like, being able to talk to somebody and kind of theory craft about, like, oh, did you know you can do this or this and this and this? And, like, it's kind of, like, fun because you just get to sit there and talk to somebody who actually, like, hopefully they know what they're talking about. But it kind of gets your mind, like the gears start turning, and you get to like maybe play the game in a different way that you hadn't been playing before. And I know for me, like I transferred from Shriner University, but before I was the AD carry player for their League of Legends team, and they had brought someone in, one of our friends, Rob. Shout out to Rob for helping me not be horrible at League, but like talking to him about how to play certain like positioning wise, like it just opens your mind to like, wait a minute, I didn't even know I could think like this. Like this is a thing. Which is, I guess in Smash is pretty. I would say like it's not super common because there are a lot of characters.
Yeah, there's definitely like, so as far as like the versatility in the game, since I would consider it a fighting games can kind of be approached in like different. Your approach to like beating your opponent is like different, and then Smash is unique in the sense that like there isn't like a health bar, but rather like it's kind of a physics-based game where you increase knockback, like based on like how much damage your opponent's taken. So from there's like character archetypes, there's like approaches to playing those archetypes as well. And also it's just like if you even fully understand like how to play your character, and like you either become reliant on like things you know versus like things you can do. But yeah, there's a lot of like room for like people to just kind of like explore characters, and like it's not even necessarily that you have to play the character the exact same way. It's rather just like you can play them in a way that's effective.
And I wanted to add to that. It's like it's a blessing or like a gift when the person who's developing your character's meta is also like a content creator on YouTube, because they just hand you the information like
for free.
Like there's this player called K. Shout out K. He's a Falco main, and he's like does really good like content. Like the tutorials that he puts out is like you can tell like he knows how to make like videos and stuff, and it's just like nice to have it handed to you, and like I absolutely have no excuse like because it's like being handed to me, but like there's like so many characters like, and not everybody is as lucky to have like the person that's developing their meta like be a content creator.
Yeah, it's like super accessible.
Yeah, so that's kind of hard too. Yeah.
I think kind of gearing towards the end of this, this is one question I'm going to start asking everybody, because I'm actually really curious about gamer tags and their origins. I think it's kind of funny where some of them come from. Mine's not super exciting. I used to go by Yimit. It's actually Timmy backwards, only because when I was making my account on League, Timmy forwards, because that's what it was in Counter-Strike, was taken. So I was like, oh, well, I remember this guy in Counter-Strike.
Can I ask you, like, what do you mean Timmy? When you say, like, the full word Timmy and then word forward?
Yeah, so, like, Timmy, like, just generic, like, Timmy.
Oh, I thought you meant, like...
Timmy Ford.
No, Timmy Ford, like, F-O... No, so, like, there's this guy, he plays for 100 Thieves on their Valorant team now, Ethan. In Counter-Strike, he used to go by Ethan backwards. Yeah. So it was, like, I don't know, I'm not even trying to spell it, because... but... I remember, that looked kind of cool. So I'll put Timmy backwards. And it ended up being Yimit. And for whatever reason, to me, when I saw it, I was like when I saw Ethan's name, I was like, oh, that's Ethan backwards. I don't know why it just clicked, but I was like, oh, well, whenever I see my name, it's Timmy backwards. Everyone always called me Yimit. Because they were like, oh, wait, it's Timmy backwards? Oh, why is it Timmy with 2 T's? Because Timmy with 1 T was taken. So I had to put... It was like YMMITT, but now I just changed it to Giyu because, I'm not gonna lie, he's kind of the coldest character in all of anime. That guy's a beast. Although I didn't get to see him yet in season 2 of Demon Slayer, so I'm kind of upset. But
No spoilers.
No spoilers.
Spoiled it right there.
Sorry, bleep that out. But yeah, no, for y'all, like, how did y'all come up with your names? I'm curious.
Whoever. Originally, I had my Xbox 360. it wasn't how it like you literally know me for like changing like almost every month honestly in Valorant. So
I think you only changed it like.
I changed it multiple times.
Oh, you changed it like 3 times.
Yeah. So like and I'm still sticking with the CVS one for school. Just for the CVS one, it's simple. It's my nickname, honestly, at this point.
Yeah.
Nothing that creative, honestly. Everybody just knows me by CVS, so why not? I know originally when I had my Xbox 360, my dad was setting up. Don't know why this came to him, but it sounded pretty cool, I guess. But it was like to be dealt with, but it's like all together, all lowercase. So it kind of looked menacing. I'm not gonna lie.
I know.
I think I had that as one of my accounts, honestly, my Smurfs. And it looks pretty cool, not gonna lie.
It does. Like, those kind of names are interesting.
So, to be dealt with. Honestly, I might have to stick with that one.
That one, I would go with that one.
My main's gonna be to be dealt with from now on, honestly.
That's pretty sick.
Right in for that one is like my Metal Gear Solid 2.
Yeah, I always wonder where that came from.
Everybody says Raiden or Raiden. I'm like, okay, it's not from Mortal Kombat. I don't like playing Mortal Kombat. I'm sorry, y'all. It's not my favorite fighting game. Favorite fighting game is Tekken, a little bit of Smash. But yeah, Seabass is my main one, honestly. Oh, Grizz. I forgot about Grizz. Grizz was like after Zero Grizz, honestly, but...
Are you telling me that like you're this good at Smash, but it's not even like your favorite fighting game?
He said a little bit of Smash.
Are you telling me that we need a Tekken varsity team?
We need a
Tekken's fun, though. Like, okay, so like Tekken is like super fun, but I'm not gonna go off on a tangent on that, so...
We'll save it for another time.
Yeah. So I had like a tag before the one I have now, and that one I was going by for a long time. So one of my biggest like passions before I really got into like competitive games was like Magic the Gathering. Oh yes. So one of the first decks I ever used to play like competitively in a format called Modern.
Yep.
It was called Naya Burn. So Naya represented like the color scheme of like the deck, so it was like green, white, and red, and that's a reference to like a plane or a plane within a plane, and like a pack of cards for Magic. Magic is really cool because of the storytelling elements like that are embedded in the game. Shout out to Magic, but yeah. So the name of the deck was Naya Burn, and it was just like a really fast paced like aggro deck.
Yeah.
From there, I took it and I kind of switched a little bit, but Faya, because I thought it like rhymed and it sounded cool, but Faya, Burn, like they kind of like paralleled. And then, honestly, people kept like pronouncing it wrong, and I got frustrated with that. And I also I didn't want to have to correct people because I don't want to have to be that guy. It's like, hey, you put some respect on my name. But I kind of was a little frustrated with that, and then I actually decided to change it when I was asked to put my name, like my gamer tag, on a jersey.
Yeah.
And I remember when Travis had like asked, and like I actually
shout out Travis.
Yeah, shout out Travis. But I think at that moment I was like, I don't think I want to go by this now. I think because I felt like being part of the team, I kind of wanted to change my mindset of like how I approach the game.
Yeah.
And I also kind of just want to like rebrand myself, like not even just for like other people, but just like in my mind. So I kind of wanted to just do something that just like felt more like personal. So Conti is the name of a character from an anime called Fooly Cooly, and Fooly Cooly is a really, really cool anime to me because it's like nostalgic. Like I saw it like growing up like on Adult Swim, and then the music is really solid. Like the story behind it is really cool. The animation is really sick, and it's like from one of like my favorite like animation studios, like or former animation studio. But yeah, like it just kind of like hits like really close to home, and like so Conti.
Interesting. Mine came from this bar on the St. Mary Strip called Fost. Me and my friends would go there a lot, and it's like this death metal bar. Like they have like satanic symbols. They're not like satanic, but it's just like the scene, I guess.
It's just for like the
like
aesthetic.
The aesthetic. Yeah. They always have like some like gory like old films like playing there, and they had some like live bands that would play there, and like I guess like that's like what we liked. And then I went home and I like researched like what's the name, Fostamine or whatever, and it's like this guy in this Germanic folk tale that sold his soul to the devil to get like riches and like famous and all that. And I just like like thought that was like super interesting. Like I was interested in that, so I just
So what you're saying is you're gonna sell your soul to the devil.
I already have.
Oh.
So I'm on my way up there.
Alrighty.
Honestly, if it made my tech skill any better, then
So yeah, it's fast.
Well, I think that's all the questions I have for y'all. Do y'all have any weird questions for me?
when's the next episode?
The next
When's
episode.
you want us
So
on?
so this is the thing. I've actually been having a lot of fun. I like talking to people about gaming or sports in general. So maybe if we can film all the other teams in time before the end of the semester, because at some point content crew gets like shut down because finals get pretty close. I'd like to have like different members from the teams all come on, and we can just talk about whatever. It doesn't have to be so like structured. Like, oh, we're gonna talk about this. How'd you get into gaming? All that. I just we're just gonna sit down on the couch and have a nice, fun conversation about whatever the heck, because I think it's pretty fun to listen to everyone's two pieces of thought. But
you know what you should do?
You
should go to Low Tide with us.
should go to Low Tide. Oh,
We'll
we'll make a
man.
vlog.
That's what I was
that'd
thinking
be
too.
nice.
Like I
We
was
all go to
gonna
Low Tide,
ask
man.
if you can go with us to a local maybe and just like film a vlog.
I almost drove up the last one, and I was gonna just to come support y'all because we weren't unfortunately, last semester Valorant's competitive format is really, really
Bad.
yeah. I was trying to find a word that wasn't just gonna trash it, but it's pretty
bad.
it's pretty bad. There's only like 2 qualifiers and it's double elimination, and the ranking system is
It's open.
completely randomized. So like a completely bronze team could play against an entire immortal team.
Like
Oh,
us.
there's no seating.
There's
There's
no
no-
seating,
there's no-
like
yeah.
the skill based matchmaking for it or whatever. It's
Like-
just it's completely wonky and it's not set up correctly.
Yeah,
And on top of that, you're playing a shooter, which much like Smash, ping online is a huge factor. So I think our first match was against University of Hawaii,
we played on
and we were playing on like 120 ping in a shooter, which is not. If you don't know, ping is like the rate at which like your actions register in the game. So if you have a really high ping, your actions are gonna come slower than somebody else's. So it was a not an enjoyable time. So our season tragically came to an end very fast because it was at the beginning of the semester. So I had nothing else to do. I was like, oh well.
Literally like a month into the semester.
Yeah, it was in October. So for like
That's unfortunate.
November and December, and
We didn't do anything.
we didn't do anything. We practiced like twice a week,
No,
if that.
And then we get like in a tournament.
I think
here
we
and
started trying to get into like Battlefy tournaments at the end, but
too late.
it was too late. Yeah. But
Come back.
100%, I was like this close to driving up. Only thing is gas.
Yeah.
But yeah, that'll probably wrap us up. I'd like to thank you guys for coming on.
Yeah,
Thank you for
thanks for
having
having
us.
us.
Yeah.
It's fun.
really
Thanks to
fun.
everybody for watching. If you haven't followed us on Twitter and Instagram, it's at TAMUSA Esports. Be sure to follow us for all upcoming events, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Later.
See you.
You're gonna clap on one, so I'm gonna go 3, 2, 1, and then we'll clap.
So 3, 2, 1, and then we'll clap.
Yep.
Not 3, 2.
Clap.
3,
One and
2,
clap are
1.
simultaneous.
3, 2, 1.
3,
Yeah,
2,
yeah,
1.
3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1.
On one. On one.
On one.
On one.
3, 2.
Okay.
Okay.
You're good.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Oh, no.
You said
After
I-
one.
okay.
You
Okay.
said on one.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.